how did we even get there? How did we even get there? The previous video was shot in Bali at a temple that I lived and worked in, or lived and worked nearby. And this is a special, super special time in my world. And I'm kind of going into these photos of present times to then go back. This was from a photo series that I did a solo show in Marfa. And this is the blossoming and the becoming of who you see today, from this human form to this dissolved spirit that we all have, right? And really proud of my ancestry and continuously exploring it. My father's Mexican, my mother's Puerto Rican. She's born in New York. My dad was born in Detroit. Here's some of my dad's family. My dad is there in the striped shirt, little teeny tiny. And these are all of, oh, well, some of them. There's some of, this is I think this is in Fort Worth. And he went to Trimble Tech. He grew up in and around, well, all throughout the Midwest, because my grandfather and grandmother were migrant workers that traveled all throughout the Midwest from Detroit on down, or from Michigan on down. And my grandfather was a pastor who had many churches here in the Midwest for the Mexican workers all throughout. So there's tons of little teeny tiny little churches that he had started. This is, I don't know how this got in here. This is my uncle in Puerto Rico, part of the where I was just at, right? And you know, kind of gives you some attitude of like where my mom comes from. But this is mommy. This is mommy. This is Nina. She's the life of the party. This is like, this is Nina's world. We're all just in it. If you ever met her, you will never forget. You will never forget you met this woman. I mean, if I could just harness just an ounce of the energy that this woman has, it's insanity. Like, it's just, and we have a roller coaster of a relationship. It just is what it is, and I love her either way. This is Dad. I grew up on the back of that motorcycle. I still ride motorcycles to this day. And I grew up here in Washington, D.C. And this space is so special to me. And so in a place like Washington, D.C., you know, the center of the universe, as we wildly, you know, acknowledge it, it's ridiculous. I love the fact that the foundations, at least my foundations there, are getting up to say something, speaking up, saying what we mean, what we want, demanding our rights, demanding who it is that we are, and to be recognized for that, and to be respected. This is also part of DC and Baltimore history, and you'll see these guys rolling around in DC, Baltimore area. You might see this in Philly. I think it's just a beautiful kind of representation of the cultures there, and everything kind of mixing. Because you also see this down south, right? You see this down in Houston, you see it down in Galveston. I was down in Galveston in Juneteenth, and this was like all over the streets. It's wild. Or all over the beach, I should say. There's my, and if you've been on my Instagram, you will see that I have covered my face forever and a day. Also me, little Dora the Explorer with big hair, attitude, saying, hey, these are my friends. In Virginia. Yeah, always naturally just standing up for everyone else and just advocating and speaking my mind and saying the things. And Yeah, it's so funny seeing these photos right now and just kind of going through them. So forgive me if it just seems like it's all over the place, because I'm also having these nostalgic thoughts and showing you these things. And there were things that I wanted to talk about, but they might not even come up. So who knows? This is a painting. This was one of my first paintings. I was in 6th grade, and my teacher was like, oh, I think we've got something here. And I'll just kind of scroll through. This is me in middle school. But that painting essentially catapulted me to get into Duke Ellington School for the Arts in DC, and where I became extremely obsessed. Well, I didn't become extremely obsessed with graffiti then. I was already extremely obsessed with graffiti back then, since I was little. I was also, fun fact, breakdancer for a little while. But this spot, though, this spot is in Georgetown, and this was a very special place to me. I would run away. I would take my sketchbook here. I would sleep here sometimes. It was just a place that you could hear the city, but you also couldn't. You could hear the music. You could hear, you know, people's parties far away. You could hear the boats coming by. You could hear the waves. You can hear, you know, just a still place that I would use to observe. And I loved riding the train. I loved riding the bus, because it gave me the sense of just observation, observing people. This is me painting live at an event. This is kind of where I started. I was about 16, 17. I'd say 15, 16. Sneaking into the clubs, painting. I would come with all my equipment, so they thought I was with the band. And no one would question, because I had all the equipment with me. So they're like, yeah, come on in. And so I'd go up on stage and I'd just set up and start painting. And this was my way of kind of getting out of my comfort zone, wanting to be in the scene, but then also just kind of wanting to be around people, but not necessarily knowing what to say or how to, like, what am I going to talk to adults about? I'm a kid. Like, I have no idea. This is all new to me. And so, but I really wanted to be in with jazz and hip hop and all the cultures that we have in DC. It's a beautiful city. I don't know how many people have been there, but it is a melting pot of every culture, and I'm really blessed and thankful to be from there. There's me. I think I was like 18 in this, where I probably just finished spray painting a wall. This photo is also a really special photo. This is a bus stop, or actually this is behind a bus stop in Georgetown. And there's a vent, it was a heat vent. And behind this bus stop there were bushes, and when I visited it recently in the last few years, this was, it was taken down. Like, these plants are now, but back then there was these bushes that covered it. You couldn't see the vent. It wasn't a thing. You just couldn't see it. I found it because I left home when I was 15 years old, and this is where I slept. This is where I lived. This is where I was. This is where other houseless people were, to be warm. And there was heat coming up all the time, and it was a nice little hiding space. And it was just kind of a moment. It would be a moment of me to find this kind of stillness in the city, with my sketchbook or my notes or my books or whatever was going on at the time, and I would be there a lot. And then there were other places in the city. So I know I'm kind of grazing over the fact that I left home at such an early age. I also had 3 jobs then, and the only thing that wasn't paying me was school. And so for me, school was just not challenging. I didn't really get along with children my age because I was working, paying rent, or being out in the streets and trying to figure out things. But, you know, I kept painting, I kept working, and I kept just knowing that there was more to just this. Like I knew that there was more than just working and being outside on the street and just like, what is going on? And I knew that because there were people from all over the world in this place. I'm like, well, where are these people from? I'm gonna go explore that one day. I know I am. Didn't know how I was gonna get there, had no clue. But never stopped listening to the music. I never stopped going to those events. I never stopped painting. The community essentially raised me. And for those of you who have been in a lot of my spaces that I've created, I create these spaces of community because the community gave me space when I was growing up. And without that, I don't know where I would be. We don't know where we would be. We all need community, right? And so these are some of the folks that I would just paint with. These were all events and people who have supported my artwork through the years. And there have been some of all kinds of people who have supported the artwork. Moving to California really changed my life. That was the beginning of just this undoing of the, I can't even say trauma, just the undoing of a lot of things that I have observed and seen out in my journey that thus far. And in California, I was really exposed to alternative everything. And I took it in because I was already on that path. I was already on that journey. And one thing I would say too is being in DC, and even now, being an uninsured artist my entire life, I had to really lean into a healthy lifestyle, eating properly, or doing my best to do so. Because Puerto Rico, you would have been like, she's eating trash. But you know, like empanadas are, you know, I gotta have my empanadas while I'm there. So, but this next photo is me floating in a cave. I'm jumping around because this is where the this is the order that it's going, which is interesting. Anyway, being exposed to all these things, and then once I started. In California, once I started living in California, everything just started happening. I started really traveling more, started getting to know more people that were just in these alternative spaces. And I'm just really thankful for that. Okay, along with what I was saying earlier, number one, I'm anally organized, but then also I take photos like this to kind of document the journey with my own herbs and how I eat and how I live my lifestyle. These are herbs, these are tinctures, these are vitamins, these are this is daily, every day. This is every day. And having this practice for a long time has been also a blessing because I have dodged a lot of health bullets and just really thankful for my health. Yeah, I'm just, okay, I showed it at Art Basel. Painting people who matter in the world, who are change makers, who are trailblazers. That was Opal Lee. This is Pharoah Sanders, Baba Pharoah Sanders, who passed away. It's one of my favorite jazz musicians. This is Miss Angela, Dr. Angela Davis of the Black Panthers. Yeah, what can I say there? That was for a fundraiser here in Texas, and matters. I don't know. This state is wild. I don't even know what to say about that one. Prince had the audacity to just be himself in every way, and I respected that. And I can't tell you all the music that he had because that wasn't my main focus. I loved him, I loved his music, but I loved his personality and the audacity that this human being had to just go against the grain. This is a mural that I did, and we talked about it at the Modern here. And I was bridging my travels to Thailand and here, and I had shops. I had an herbal apothecary here. And I was kind of bridging the gaps, or bridging these two cultures that I love so much, and how this community has really supported me. I was your, fun fact, I was your corporate artist at Central Market for a while. Citrus Fest. These are the real rock stars to me. Are those trees? It's Vietnam. This is also Vietnam. I was standing in there somewhere. It's a drone photo. Some India. Some more India. These were tea workers in Vietnam.
Tea?
Tea. They were rolling. They're picking out the stems. So I worked with herbs for a really long time. I've been studying them. I've been working with them. I've been ingesting them, and these herbs have changed my life. If it wasn't for these herbs, I was battling depression, seasonal affective disorder. Winter was not my friend. And tea landed in my lap from a friend of mine in Oregon who was he is a Zen master, and he would probably be laughing at me right now because I'm telling this story. But I was working for him, and he asked me, hey, do you want to have tea one day? And I said, all right. So I'm thinking, tea bag, honey, flavor, whatever. No, this man starts pulling out all of these tools and a timer, and he's weighing the tea, and I'm like, what is going on? I just want to drink some tea. And he is like, shh, shh, just have some. And I'm thinking, just before I drank it, I'm like, I'm not gonna like this. There's no, we're used to what we're used to. We want it sweet or not, and we want it just steeped really long and whatever. No, he steeped this for like 30 seconds, and I'm sitting here like, what is he doing? But when I drank that tea, it was the best cup of tea I'd ever had in my whole life. And from then, I sat with him I was the only one that would ever sit with him for tea, like twice a day. And I'm like, well, what is that one? What is this one? What is that one? What is this one? And that's just kind of where that journey began with the tea. But I feel like the journey has been there the entire time. Also, what I didn't tell you was my dad, he was a chef in and around the White House for many years. So he's cooked, and he's had this palate for cooking and tasting and really being in it forever. And I know that he gets that from grandma, because when I see him cook, I see her hands, and when I cook, I see her hands also. I'm no longer in the building, she's there, those are her hands cooking all that stuff, because I know that. This is in Bali community. I used to take everybody to the waterfalls. We'd go on these walks in Bali. But yeah, this journey with tea, it sent me down this rabbit hole for years and years and years. And I still call him today and I'm like, you send me all around the world to look for this plant and I can't get enough of it. This tea, Camellia sinensis, is very intellectual. It joins the heavens and the earth together with the spirit. And you can read that however you want. But if you're sitting with a plant that is from a 2,000-year-old tea tree and you're going to drink from the leaves from that plant, that's really special. That's 2,000 years of sun and moon and clouds and earth and energy in there, not touched by anyone else other than the caretakers of that plant. And when you drink it, you're able to connect with this, I don't know, source, because it tastes like dirt. The source, right? Soil. But it's really a beautiful experience. And I just want to share it. You know, through all of those photos that I shared of me being in the city and all of the community, it was loud. But one thing that I did learn was that I would still find the stillness and I would still find the quiet in painting live. There is music going on, there are people talking, there's all kinds of stuff, but I am zeroed in, like in that zone. And when I think about how I got to this point, I'm like, you know, I learned how to meditate very early on with this paint practice in a lot of chaos in the city, maybe at that vent, maybe on that cliff in Georgetown, maybe on those trains in India, I don't know. And then I went away. I just came back from being in Bali and being in Southeast Asia for some time. And this was a trip that was necessary for processing the pandemic, processing divorce, processing selling my company, shutting that down, and re-emerging as Arte Tea Co., my tea company. And when I tell you, it took over 6 months to just not feel productivity guilt, because that's what we have here if we don't get up and produce every day. Like, it took 6 months of me just waking up every day being like, all right, so what am I gonna complete today? How many tasks, who's, like, all this work that I don't have, like, there was nothing. There was nothing for me to do out there. Like, I didn't need to do anything other than rest. And that was really challenging. Like, really challenging. We're born and bred to work here, and we don't know anything else. And this was a really valuable time to be able to sit and think, and then think about not thinking, and then not thinking, and then having a moment, and having like a very, very, very tiny window of actual dissolve, which is the first photos that I showed you. And then being like, whoa, and then just sitting with that and being like, oh, I touched it, and then thoughts come back. And I mean, you know, monks are plagued with thoughts too. They're raised up in there to go think and not think and meditate forever, and still they're plagued with thoughts. So, you know, meditation is. There's no wrong way, just be still. This is my tea company. Me and my favorite place to be, the jungle. or right here painting. So it's interesting, after all of those things that I've kind of been through, I can say that taking the time, like they say, stop and smell the roses. You know, and Blake and I talked about this too. Blake and I talk about, what did we talk about? The two different types of hikers. There are the hikers that just like rush to get to the top. And then there are the ones who just kind of like, oh, look at that leaf. Oh, look at that there. Oh, that's nice. I'm gonna touch that ground. Look at that. That's me. That's us. And if I get to the top, cool. If I don't, then all right. But you know, the goal's there, but I'm not tripping. I'm enjoying now. I'm enjoying right now. And if there's anything that I can say about the journey, is doing that. Don't rush to get, I mean, we're all gonna die. Like, we're all gonna die. You're gonna get to the top, don't worry. Like, you're gonna get there. Just like, don't rush there. Just enjoy right now. And that's kind of what tea does for me. That's what painting does for me. That's what traveling does for me. And that's what all of these experiences that I've had along this journey have done for me. I was in the moment every single step of the way. Whether it was scary, whether it was hard, whether it was like, the fuck am I doing in this vent? Like, it's late, there are people around, I could get hurt. Thank goodness I didn't. I was very well protected by the neighborhood. I was enjoying it, taking it in as it was, every step of the way. These photos here, this one and this one, my thoughts are with this is that you've seen the other artworks, very colorful. There are people that matter. There are people who are change makers and trailblazers and who are creating the peace on this world they seek to be. And when I got to Marfa, I was determined to get this series done. I actually have one of my sketchbooks here. But my question to myself was, if you're not struggling to survive anymore by painting these things or selling these bus passes or selling this candy or whatever it is you're doing, scrambling around, what does your artwork look like now? What's it look like now? It looks like this. I mean, it went way abstract. It went really deep. It went really spiritual. It went to the depths, the abyss of like who we are. And it's through all of the observation and all of the experience. And, you know, like, we can't experience this happiness without sorrow, or, you know, we can't have these times of ease without times of struggle, maybe, or, you know, uncomfort, maybe. There's a moment. I made the paper. Sharing that with my dad. And as Thich Nhat Hanh says, no mud, no lotus. Yeah. Did you know lotuses have spines on them, like pricklies? So I was in Vietnam, and they were like, oh, we're going to go to the swamp where the lotus pond is. And I'm like, all right, sweet. And then they were like, well, you should get in, go get some. And I'm like, all right, you bet I'm going to go in there. No. I went in there, and those things have pricklies on them, and it is thick mud. I mean, this mud is really thick. It is really deep, and it's tough to get through. But if that isn't, I don't have any tattoos, but if I did get one, it would probably be of a lotus, because that is like the logo of my life story. Like that really is, yeah. No mud, no lotus, man. Well, here it is. I'm serving tea. And the way that I serve tea is from, I like to say, like a warrior's perspective. I've been out there. I've seen some things. I've been through some things. I'm just here to be quiet and share with you some stillness because I found it. I found stillness and I found quiet through this whole thing. And then we begin to think about this last slide. I love Super Mario, by the way. This is a friend of mine's son about 10 years ago in the neighborhood in Fairmount. And I share this picture because I think about like what type of elder do I want to be? And I think about that for all of you. Like what, I want to ask, like what type of elder do you want to be? After all of the things that you've experienced and all of the things that you've been through and come out of, what type of elder do you wish to be, I think that's it.